Hey guys, my name is Timio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today is, do you think that the suppression should be more effective in Rainbow Six Siege? I think that it should make your aim terrible. Well, I'm assuming what you mean by this is that you want to add a suppression mechanic that is very similar to the Battlefield franchise, where if you are on the receiving end, or if you're putting a bunch of bullets down range, whoever is the recipients of these bullets flying by their face, they are going to have a suppression mechanic. This could be either increased recoil, it could mean maybe their bullets aren't going to go exactly where they're aiming, increased bullet deviation. That's something that they had back in Battlefield 3, and if that is what you mean, I'm going to have to say, absolutely not. Rainbow Six Siege, in my eyes, is a competitive tactical first-person shooter that relies on your accuracy. If you're someone who is able to line up headshots consistently, you're probably going to come out of firefights more often than someone who isn't as accurate or only goes for body shots. It rewards you heavily for that accuracy. As soon as you add in a mechanic that all of a sudden causes your bullets to deviate from where you're aiming, I mean, this is the reason why a lot of people hated the suppression effect back in Battlefield 3, is because it takes away that skill. I will give it to you that it would add a further layer of tactics that you would have to think about in some situations. It would also probably make certain weapons better than they already are right now. The light machine guns, for example, they may not be that accurate because they have an insane amount of recoil, but because they have a lot of rounds in their magazine, they can put a bunch of bullets into a room where they think an enemy is located. That would allow their teammates to kind of rush on in, and while the enemy has this suppression effect on them, your team has an advantage because they are not suppressed. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but because the game relies on your accuracy, I would not want to have a random bullet deviation or more recoil on my weapons because, yeah, there is, I guess, technically more tactics involved. It takes away what I enjoy about first-person shooters, and that is the reliability of my weapon. If all of a sudden I'm not getting headshots because of random bullet deviation, I'm going to be pissed. And especially in a game that heavily rewards you for your accuracy, and you are going to die or live based off of those headshots, it is going to be very frustrating in a lot of situations. And so it's because of that very reason why I do not want to have anything like this in Rainbow Six Siege. Honestly, we already have suppression in the game. It may not be a mechanic, it may not be where you're getting shot at, you have more bullet deviation or recoil, but if you know an enemy is in a room and you want to make sure that they're not going to peek their head out so that your teammate can cross the room to the other side, just put a bunch of bullets down range. He's going to be less likely to peek around the corner because of the insanely high damage model in this game. A random bullet that flies into his head is going to be able to take him out, and so he's going to be less likely to make that peek. That is what I feel like suppression should be in most first-person shooters. And so it's because of that reason, alongside everything else that we talked about, that while I kind of understand where you're coming from, it would add a further layer of tactics. I just don't feel like it has any place in this game. But of course, that is just my 2 cents. The next question comes from Stuart, and it is, I was wondering what you thought about EA releasing all DLC for Battlefield 4 for free now. The game is over 2 years old, and it would allow all maps to be used once again. I would not be opposed to this whatsoever. As a premium member, and I can only speak for myself, some of you guys might disagree with me on this one, the fact that we've been able to play on all of the DLC content for over a year now. The Final Stand DLC, the last paid product that we were able to buy for Battlefield 4, came out last year in December. It's been over a year now. I feel like it would be okay to give all of the content for free. Once again, I could see where people would be opposed to this because they may have the mindset of, hey, I put down $50 for premium, now that everyone is getting it for free, why did I spend money on this to begin with? And while that's kind of faulty logic, considering that you're able to enjoy that content for 2 years now, I can't see where they're coming from, but I have the viewpoint where it's like, hey, yeah, I put down $50 for premium when the game released. I want to be able to enjoy this content, and the only way that it's going to be really possible is if more people have access to the DLC, and one easy way of doing that, especially now that the game is as old as it is to be able to give it to everyone. A lot of people are probably not buying premium anymore. I'm assuming that it's only a trickle of sales at this point, and I think for just the overall health of the community, this could be a step in the right direction. Some of you might be thinking now, okay, all of this sounds great, but this is EA that we're talking about. It's never gonna happen. And while you're probably right, it probably will never happen, it's not out of the realm of possibility. EA is the same people that published Titanfall. Titanfall, if you guys remember, a year ago, I think it's been, they released all of their DLC for free. You just had to own the base game, and then you had access to everything that they ever created for that title. And so while Titanfall was its own unique case because the player base was hemorrhaging, and one of the reasons why it was hemorrhaging was because they were splitting up the player base with the DLC. I mean, that was one reason, but it's still within the realm of possibility. And so yeah, I'm right there with you. This, of course, is very pro-consumer. The only benefit I can see coming from this for EA is that this would get them in the good graces of the Battlefield community, and maybe that could result in more sales of Battlefield 5. If more people see, hey, I can get all the DLC for free for Battlefield 4, jump on in, realize it's one of the best first-person shooters out in the market because of the hard work of DICE LA, maybe they'll be more likely to pick up the next game. Basically, just pure speculation, but yes, I think that this is a marvelous idea. The next question comes from Matthew, and it is, do you think that in Rainbow Six Siege, you should be able to repick your operator after you use your drone? There are several times when I pick a character, but the objective will be in a different location where a different operator would be better suited. I have also thought about this because you're absolutely right. There are situations where you pick a class basing it off of the idea of having the objective on one part of the map. It turns out it's on the complete opposite side, and that operator just doesn't serve as much of a function. It's not going to benefit your team as much. And so to have the option to be able to swap out your operator really quickly sounds like a really cool idea. The only reasons why I could see them not implementing something like this is, first of all, it may just extend the downtime in between rounds. They just want to get people back into the action quickly. This was a huge critique during the betas, but also it may just put the defensive side at too much of a disadvantage. If you were able to tailor pick and completely optimize what operators you wanted to use based off of the knowledge of where the objective is located, that might give the offensive team too much of an advantage. I know this is a little bit of a weak argument, like I do get that, but I could see where Ubisoft is coming from if this was the very reason why they didn't add it into the game. I will say that it would make the start of the round much more interesting. If you're driving around in a drone, you now have a much larger incentive to go find the objective so that you can use that knowledge and change up your operator. But you're off on the defensive team, you want to definitely ensure that you keep that objective hidden so that they can't use that knowledge. And so I'd like to get your guys' take on this. Do you like the concept? Do you think that it would give the offensive team too much of a benefit? Do you think this is a good step in the right direction? Give me your thoughts down below. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you would like to submit your own question, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.